Hi, I'm Hal Roberts. This is Forum Daily West. Here's some of the top stories we've been following. Conservative House Leader Andrew Scheer slammed the Liberal government, saying whoever the Liberals choose as their next leader, nothing will change. Political columnist Brian Lilley is back, discussing who some of the frontrunners are to replace Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. And BCN's Naveen Day will have details on how to help you keep your New Year's fitness resolutions. Thanks so much for joining us. Fresh off the announcement that Justin Trudeau is stepping down as Prime Minister and Liberal leader, Conservative House Leader Andrew Scheer says nothing will change when the next leader of the Liberals is chosen. He says that includes two of the top contenders, Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland.
He is currently Justin Trudeau's chair of his economic task force. He is one of the main architects of Trudeau's record. He loves the carbon tax so much that he was even fighting against any exemptions being given to Canadians struggling with home heating costs. He supports all of Justin Trudeau's policies. He was one of the key architects of this Liberal administration. Chrystia Freeland was there all along the way, applauding and cheering and voting in favor all of Justin Trudeau's policies that doubled housing costs, that drove up inflation and interest rates, that let dangerous and repeat offenders out on the streets, prioritizing the rights of criminals ahead of the rights of law-abiding Canadians. And she was even prepared to blow through her already insane $40 billion deficit guardrail right up until the moment that she was told that she would be demoted right afterwards.
You know, when it comes to choosing the next Liberal leader, it appears as though you don't even have to be a Canadian citizen to vote. That's according to Sun political columnist Brian Lilley, who says as long as you're 14 or older, you can vote for who our next Prime Minister will be.
You could have teenagers from China. You could have seniors visiting from India. You know, they show something with their name on a piece of mail, and they're going to vote. You could have people organizing from all kinds of countries, Russia. You could have backers of Hamas organizing. People who are not citizens and couldn't vote will help pick the new PM.
Premier Danielle Smith says she wants a federal election sooner rather than later. She says it's irresponsible and selfish for Justin Trudeau to prorogue Parliament until March 24th and stay on as Prime Minister until a replacement is found. Now, when it comes to reflecting on Justin Trudeau's legacy on the energy industry, Smith says Trudeau could have done so much more to help our country outside of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion.
We could have, with federal leadership, potentially got Energy East built. Part of the reason they pulled the plug on that was that they couldn't see a way through to the finish line, even though they'd spent $1 billion. We could have already been well underway with a Northern Gateway, which would be, I think, the most significant egress from our country, exporting off the coast of British Columbia. We could have, with greater leadership, potentially had the Prime Minister make a case for Keystone XL, which would have been well on the way to getting the largest producer of heavy oil attached to the largest production or refining capacity in the Gulf Coast. And that none of that happened.
Health experts are urging China to share infection data following an outbreak of the HMPV virus, which has spread across 4 countries. The virus that causes cold or flu-like symptoms has seen cases spike across northern China, particularly among young children. Many are comparing the situation similar to the COVID-19 outbreak. So far, the virus has been detected in China, but has also spread to India, Malaysia, and Kazakhstan. India's health minister said HMPV's occurrence in India is not new and that there was no reason to worry despite increased testing. A powerful earthquake rocked the foothills near the Himalayas in Tibet on Tuesday, killing at least 126 people and injuring close to 200 others. Emergency officials say around 1,000 homes were also damaged when the 7.1 magnitude quake hit around 9:05 local time. Chinese President Xi Jinping says search and rescue efforts are well underway as are attempts to resettle the affected people. More than 1,500 local firefighters and rescue workers have been dispatched to the affected region. Around 22,000 items, including tents, coats, quilts, and folding beds, were also sent to the Shaanxi region. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says he will not rule out the use of military force to seize control of the Panama Canal and Greenland. He says the United States needs control of both regions for American national security.
We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, The Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China.
Bridge City News has received a lot of feedback from viewers like yourself that you haven't received a lot of mail or parcels since the Canada Post strike ended. Well, Canada Post provided an update regarding their services on Tuesday. Officials say they're finally back up to full service for all domestic parcels. In a statement, Canada Post also say that they've stabilized their operations and are continuing to work through higher volumes of mail. On-time service guarantees have resumed for domestic parcels, but Canada Post says that customers should still expect delays by several days for international deliveries. Now, despite this, the U.S. Postal Service announced Monday that they're resuming mail deliveries to Canada after the month-long strike by Canada Post workers late last month. The cold weather could be a difficult time for many homeless people to find warmth and safety, but in some past instances, efforts to shelter oneself has often seen fatal results. As BCN's Landon Hickok explains now, an Alberta judge is appealing to the provincial government to review and approve new safety measures to prevent injury and death from people climbing inside of clothing donation bins.
It's as deadly as it is enticing. Clothing donation bins set up across cities in Alberta, especially here in Lethbridge, are used by people to donate their unwanted clothing to people needing it the most. But in some cases, what's used as a lifeline for the most vulnerable would end up costing their lives. Justice Jamie Williams is asking the Alberta government to review and consider adding more safety measures to donation bins set up across Alberta. Between 2017 and 2019, she reviewed multiple cases of accidental deaths that resulted from individuals climbing into these bins. The typical cause of death of these cases involves suffocation and serious cuts to the neck. Cam Kissick of Streets Alive in Lethbridge gave reasons to why people would choose to go through the bins rather than make their way to a proper shelter.
It could be an after-hours situation where organizations like ours are closed and they can't necessarily get to them to get the clothing and they require it. The other could be ease. They might be in that location. In Lethbridge here, we're not exactly close to where the bins are. So if they are in that area, it could be challenging to get here instead of staying there.
This doesn't mean that safety measures were implemented in the past. Diabetes Canada, which manages clothing donation bins across the country, said in a statement to Bridge City News, in 2019, all National Diabetes Trust clothing donation bins across Canada were modified for improved safety. National Diabetes Trust, the textile donation operations for Diabetes Canada, welcomes the recommendations made by Justice Jamie Williams and is pleased to see that NDT's actions to improve bin safety and their recommendation made during the inquiry to remove mechanisms from existing bins that would create pinch points was included in Justice Williams' final report. A letter has been sent along by Alberta Justice to Municipal Affairs, highlighting safety recommendations for clothing donation bins set up across the province. Municipal Affairs say they are reviewing this report and are committed to the health and safety of all Albertans. For Bridge City News, I'm Landon Hickok.
Yeah, meteorologist Joey Ansel here, still watching the cold, the wind, and still some lake effect snow with that still well below average ice coverage in the Great Lakes. Now, from coast to coast, there's a couple areas of low pressure, one in the Atlantic and one in the Pacific I'm keeping eyes on. The one on the Pacific side, it's a strong one and moving due north-northeast towards Alaska and northern British Columbia. So that'll bring in some showers favoring northern British Columbia, those way farther northern latitudes there. The one on the Atlantic side, it's going to linger. Another area of low pressure could develop too. So through Friday, I'll watch for a lingering low, some gusty wind showers, and perhaps some marine coastal concerns. Vancouver, ridge of high pressure, high of 8. Got some west-southwest winds, trying to bring in some warmer air for the prairie provinces, and for many of you, it will succeed. Relatively dry for now, and not much for snow at the moment, but some light snow possible areas right around Lake Winnipeg, other areas of Winnipeg. Northwest winds will bring in some potentially cooler air for Thursday for spots like Calgary, high near 0, and then back up near 3 with a chance of a wintry mix on Friday. Ferries of Ontario, Canada, northwest wind cold, highs well below 0 at this point. Toronto at 7 below. We'll watch for some heavy lake effect snow squalls potentially in some of those areas of southern Ontario again. Toronto, you're near 7 below Wednesday, 11 below in Ottawa, and 11 below in Montreal with some likely snow showers Far eastern areas, including Atlantic Canada, that low lingers, so I'll have to watch for some gusty winds again, potentially picking up as well for the end of the week.
The federal government says the Canada Revenue Agency will skip parliamentary approval and continue to collect the capital gains tax. Parliament was prorogued until March 24th as the Liberal Party undergoes a leadership race. The Finance Department is arguing parliamentary convention allows taxation proposals to go into effect once the government tables a notice of Ways and Means motion. The Liberals tabled the motion in September that introduced the bill, which is meant to raise the portion of capital gains tax that companies pay from 1/2 to 2/3. WestJet has been legally ordered to hand over all of its files on harassment of flight attendants in a class action lawsuit alleging widespread misconduct by its pilots. A BC Supreme Court judges ruled the country's second largest airline has been slow and potentially adversarial regarding the documents, and it's unclear why complaint files haven't been produced in a timely manner. The lawsuit filed in 2016 alleges WestJet breached flight attendants' contracts by breaking a promise to provide a harassment-free workplace. WestJet has 45 days to turn over the additional files regarding all harassment complaints during the class period from April of 2014 through February of 2021. Now, here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was down 69 points today to 24,929. The Dow was also down 178 points to 42,528. The S&P 500 was down 66 points to 5,909, and the Nasdaq was also down 375 points to 19,489. West Texas Intermediate oil was up 88 cents to 74.44 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 26 cents to $3.45 US. Gold was down 12.18 to 26.4829 US an ounce, and silver was up 9 cents to $30.03 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $8.43 per bushel, barley is at $6.65, canola is at $14.15, and corn is at $8.10 per bushel. Live cattle February contract was up 38 cents to $195.58, feeder cattle were down 150 to $260.53, and lean hogs February contract was up 28 cents to 81.03. And the Canadian dollar was up slightly over the past 24 hours and sits at 69.60 US.
You know, with New Year's resolutions and hitting the gym, it's important to find a habit that really works for you so you can stick to your workout plan. In this next story, BCN's Naveen Day visited a fitness trainer to try out some gym equipment and melt away some of the dad bod.
The start of the new year is typically the time when people make New Year's resolutions, and a big New Year's resolution is I'm going to go get in shape. I'm going to shed off some weight, lose the dad bod, and a lot of people get gym memberships. But do we always stick to that habit of going to the gym? Well, my guest here is going to talk just about that. I'm here with Jared Carberry. He's a personal trainer at Gym in the North here in Lethbridge, and he's going to talk about how to keep your 2025 fitness resolutions. Jared, what can we do? How do we keep engaged and keep working out?
I mean, there's many different ways. You're going to hear a billion different strategies. The one I find the most success with that I like to employ with most of my clients is choosing habits rather than a goal. So you nailed it on the head saying lots of people, I'm going to shed the weight, get rid of the dad bod, whatever it is. We get fixated on a number and we only can see that number. So instead of choosing a number that's the ideal one, I would advise a client, let's talk about your habits instead.
And another problem people have is they show up at the gym, they're extremely motivated, but they have no direction. And so they may either overdo it or they may underdo it and not get the results. So we got some gear around here. Why don't you just give me a demonstration of what someone can do if they want to do some self-led exercise.
Right. So something that I would have you start on is maybe just an overhead press. Very simple. Okay. So we would just start with something nice and easy, like some 10-pound weights for you.
Okay, let's do this together.
Yes.
Okay, what are we doing?
So from here, I would get you to start here. Okay. We're just going to think fully extending, reaching, pushing through the roof, extending those shoulders as straight up as we can. And then we just come down, keeping tension to about that chin line, okay? We don't need to come down to where we're resting and losing that tension. And then we're just gonna go again.
All right, what is this thing?
So I know it looks big and intimidating and scary to look at from a distance, right? The nice thing about cable machines like this is if you chose to, you could do your absolute entire full workout here and not be limited at all. Okay, I would get you to grab one on each hand, and then I'm gonna get you to take a step towards me, bring those weights down to your chest. It's very hard from there,
What?
right? So this is a good learning point. So now before we walk forward, we're gonna get you to bring those weights down to your mid-chest line. Now you're gonna take a step forward. Keeping those there, okay? Then from here, I want you to step 1 foot forward. We're gonna think keeping our chest nice and tall, and then we're gonna open up those arms, keep a slight bend in those elbows to where we feel comfortable, and then we're gonna squeeze like we're giving somebody a big old bear hug and really focus on squeezing that chest.
That's your Forum Daily West report. I'm Hal Roberts. Thanks so much for watching.